My son blocked my number. But tonight, he keeps calling, over and over. The screen lights up in the dark room, blinking like fire in my eyes. His name appears. Every letter, like an open wound. I remember the first time I called after his wedding. All I got was the machine's voice. The number you have dialed is not in service. I hit redial, once, 10 times. Nothing changed. A few days later, a relative slipped up. He blocked your number, said he didn't want to be bothered. One tap, and I was erased from my son's life. That cut deeper than any winter night on the highway. I used to call him every night. Did you eat? Did you get home safe? Now, just silence. But tonight, the phone won't stop ringing. 6 times. 7. The ringtone I once longed for. Now it sounds like a cry for help. My hands sweat around the phone. Questions race in my head. Why now? What happened? And most of all, should I pick up? Because I know, if I answer, there's no way back. Every wound will reopen. Every silence will break. And the truth about us, father and son, will stand bare. No mercy. Outside, the wind pounds the window. Inside, the phone pounds my chest like a hammer. I stare at the name. My son. The boy who once called me his hero. The kid who ran after my truck, shouting, "Dad, come home early." Now he's back, knocking with a storm of phone calls. I take a long breath and whisper to myself, this call could save us, or bury what's left of us, forever. I'm John, 58. If there's one sound tied to my life, it's the rumble of that old army green truck. 30 years on the road, just me and the engine. I remember the first time I put the boy in the driver's seat, his tiny hands on that big wheel, eyes shining. Dad, one day I want to drive like you. I laughed, lifted him down. Study hard, I'll let you try. That night, out on the highway, my phone rang. It was him. Dad, have you eaten? That was the first time a child ever worried about me. From then on, every rest stop, first thing I did was call him. Short calls, few words, but they kept me alive. I wasn't rich. I wasn't anyone important. But when I came home and heard him yell, "The hero's back," that was enough. After the divorce, the apartment turned silent. His mom moved away. It was just me and the boy, depending on each other. I drove nights, pushed myself, all to pay for his school. Sometimes I'd run through the night, just to hand in tuition on time. Graduation day, hundreds of parents, my hands raw from clapping. When he held that diploma, he searched the crowd for me. Our eyes met. In that moment, every mile was worth it. He got a job, met a girl. First time he brought her home, I wore my best, which wasn't much. A worn shirt, old shoes. I smiled too much, held a cheap gift, knives on discount. She was polite. She smiled, but her eyes, they judged. I told myself I was imagining it. The wedding came fast. I was happy. I believed I'd have a new family. My son hugged me, whispered, "Dad, when we get our own place, I'll keep a room for you. You won't be alone." I held on to that promise, like a treasure. But life had other plans. When they moved, I carried box after box, sweat soaking my back. His wife handed me a bottle of water. "Take a break, Dad. Let the movers do it." Sounded kind, but her eyes said I wasn't needed. I smiled, nodded. Inside, it sung, "Mom." Holidays changed. Invitations fewer. Some months, just one text. "You okay, Dad?" Short, cold. I kept calling, morning, night. At first he answered, then he was busy. Meetings, work. Then, nothing but a long ring and silence. Once I asked, "This Christmas, can I bring the turkey?" He hesitated. "Better let us handle it. You should rest, Dad." Those words, soft, but sharp. For years, that turkey was our bridge. Now I was cut off. Then it came. One late afternoon, after a long haul, I called him. No ring, just a machine. "The number you have dialed is not in service." I hit redial, once, twice, 10 times, still nothing. I stared at the black screen for hours. Days later, a cousin slipped up at dinner. He said he blocked your number, wants to focus on his new family. I froze. The bowl slipped, rice scattered. People looked away. I forced a smile, changed the subject. But inside, something broke. One block, and my whole life of sacrifice erased. After that, the apartment felt unbearable. No morning ring, no sleepy "Hello, Dad," no laughter when I told road stories. Only the clock ticking, and my heart beating telling me, "You've been left behind." I still kept the phone by my pillow. Every night I stared at the dark screen, hoping it would light up. Even with just, "Dad, I'm okay." Sometimes I lied to myself. He's busy, he needs space, he'll call back. But deep down, I knew. When someone blocks you, the door is shut. And then, that night, the silence shattered. The name Michael lit up my screen. The phone shook, over and over. My hands trembled, my chest tightened. The sound I once prayed for now felt like a warning bell. The storm was here. There's one night I remember in every detail. The rain was light. The smell of wet asphalt drifted into my small apartment. I had just finished a 14-hour drive. My body was worn out. I dropped my bag, grabbed the phone, the one thing I always reached for after every trip. I dialed his number. The ringtone, once, twice, then silence. I tried again. Same. On the third try, his voice cut in, short and cold. "Dad, I'm busy. Don't call again." Before I could answer, the line went dead. I stood frozen. The phone turned heavy in my hand, like a stone. Rain tapped against the window, beating with my racing heart. I told myself, maybe he's stressed from work. Maybe his wife pushed him. Maybe I just picked the wrong time. I held on to those excuses. Anything to keep from facing the worst. Weeks later, my birthday came. Usually he'd call, sometimes quick. But to me, that was the best gift. That morning, I drove home earlier than usual, stopped at a small bakery, bought a tiny cake, just enough for one person. I set it on the kitchen table, lit a single candle. The apartment was quiet, only the weak, yellow glow of the ceiling light. I lit the candle, hummed happy birthday to myself, and waited. I waited for the phone to ring. Every minute I looked up at the screen. Nothing. I typed a message. "Son, I turned 58 today. I wish I could hear your voice." I sent it, saw the word delivered. My heart lifted, just a little, hoping he'd reply. But the screen stayed dark, all day, all night. I sat in front of the cake. The candle had died, wax melting into crooked lines. I couldn't eat it. The cake became proof of the heaviest silence of my life. I remembered his 8th birthday. He gave me a card, a messy drawing of us in the truck. In shaky letters, he wrote, "Dad, you're my hero." I kept that card in my wallet for years. On my 58th birthday, I pulled it out, stared at it. The longer I looked, the more my vision blurred. The next day, I called again. But instead of his voice, I heard the cold machine. "The number you have dialed is not in service." My chest tightened. I tried again. Once, twice, 10 times, same. I pulled out the SIM card, put it back. Then I borrowed my neighbor's phone, dialed. This time, the ringtone. He picked up. I heard his voice, laughter and chatter in the background. He said a few quick words, then hung up. And I knew he had blocked me. One button, and I was erased from his life. That night, I walked around the neighborhood. The air was sharp with cold. I passed the playground, where I once taught him to ride a bike. I remembered when he fell, his knee bleeding. But he laughed because, "Dad's right here. I'm still right here. But now he's built a wall I can't cross." Back home, I turned on the TV to drown the emptiness. But no sound reached me, only my heartbeat, and the thick, heavy silence. A few days later, I joined a family dinner. Everyone laughed, talked. I sat quiet. Then a cousin slipped out the truth. He said he blocked your number, wants to focus on his little family, doesn't want distractions. The chopsticks slipped from my hand. The room fell silent. Some looked at me with pity. Others lowered their eyes, pretending not to see. I forced a smile, picked up the chopsticks. It's fine, kids are different these days. But my hands shook. Rice spilled everywhere. The meat in my mouth turned to stone, hard to swallow. I sat in that crowd, lonelier than ever. From that day, I became a shadow outside my own family. I no longer knew how my son lived, what he felt, what he carried inside. News of him came in fragments, from relatives or photos on social media I looked at in secret. One picture showed him smiling in front of his new house, his wife beside him. The caption read, "Small family, big happiness." Hundreds of likes, friends congratulating. I stared, happy for him, but aching. In that bright picture, there was no place for me. I never blamed his wife, even though her eyes always carried distance. Maybe she just wanted a different life, a cleaner one, without the shadow of an old truck driver. But him, my son, the one who once hugged me and promised, "Dad, I'll keep a room for you," Now that promise was dust. Every night I kept the phone by my pillow. I knew my number was blocked, but I left it there. Sometimes I mistook the clock's ticking for a ring. Sometimes raindrops on the roof made me reach for the phone. The screen stayed dark. Some nights I dreamed the phone rang. I picked up, heard his voice. "Dad, come home." I cried in my sleep, woke up clutching the cold phone in my hand. That day he blocked me. It was a crack I could never mend. Not like a fight, followed by making up. Not like a misunderstanding, cleared with words. This was absolute silence. A door locked from the inside. And that door may never open again. Time dragged on. Every day I woke up, climbed into the truck, started the engine, drove the same roads. I hauled the loads, dropped them off, came back to the small apartment. Everything stayed the same. Except for one thing. The phone stayed silent long enough for me to hear my own heartbeat. One afternoon at a rest stop, I pulled out my phone, scrolling to kill time. And there it was, the picture that clenched my chest. My son and his wife, standing in front of a brand new house. Keys in their hands, smiles wide. The caption read, "Our dream home, where happiness begins." Hundreds of comments below. "Congrats!" "So proud." "Beautiful family." I forced a smile. But inside I knew. I hadn't heard a word about this house. No call, no message, nothing. Once, he'd hugged me and promised, "When I get a house, Dad, you'll always have a room." Now the dream house stood tall. And there was no room for me. Weeks later, at a family dinner, I overheard. "They say he borrowed too much. Can't handle the debt." The speaker went quiet when I looked up. The table fell stiff. Another relative chuckled, trying to soften it. "Kids today always want more than they can carry." I smiled faintly, looked back down. But my hands shook so bad, the spoon slipped. That night, I couldn't sleep. I remembered warning him. Don't borrow beyond your reach. A house is only a home when it doesn't chain you down. Now he was tying himself up. And he hadn't shared a word with me. Another time, at a gas station, I ran into an old friend of his. He sighed. "Michael's in deep. Bank loans piling up. His wife keeps shopping. The furniture's all top end. I worry for him." My chest tightened. I wanted to ask more, but I swallowed it back. I didn't want to look like the sad old man who only hears about his son through others. Then Thanksgiving came. All these years, I was the one who cooked the turkey. My boy once said, "Dad, only your turkey smells this good." This year, I still prepared it, still hoped. I woke early, washed the bird, seasoned it, put it in the oven. The apartment filled with that smell. I wore my old shirt, combed my hair, placed the turkey in a warm box, and sat waiting for the phone to ring. Noon passed, afternoon passed, evening came. The phone stayed dark. I opened Facebook, and my heart cracked. There they were. My son, his wife, her family, friends, gathered around a glittering table. He sat at the center, smiling. On the table was a turkey. Not mine. I looked back at the box on my kitchen table. Steam rising, the smell still strong. I remembered him biting into a wing, eyes closed, grinning. Best in the world. Now he smiled at someone else's turkey. I tried a bite. But in my mouth, it turned tasteless. I couldn't swallow. I set the knife down, sat frozen. That night, the turkey stayed untouched. The next morning, I carried it to the dumpster. When I let go, watching it fall, my heart sank. It felt like I'd thrown away a piece of memory, a piece of myself. After that, more whispers came. He was late on the bank. He and his wife were fighting, but never a call. I became invisible, only hearing about my son from strangers. I felt like that old truck of mine, still running, still strong, but left in a garage, gathering dust, replaced by something newer, shinier. One night, I drove past his neighborhood. His house was lit bright, music spilling out. I parked down the street. Through the window, I saw him moving, laughing. I gripped the wheel tight. I wanted to knock, to walk in, to say, "Dad's here." But I remembered her cold eyes, his sharp voice the day he hung up, and I froze. I sat there a long time. Then I started the engine, turned back. The streetlights blurred through my wet eyes. Now and then, someone's words cut me deep. An old neighbor asked, "Does Michael visit you these days?" I forced a smile. "He's busy, works far away." I lied. Because how could I admit my own son had blocked me, erased me from his life? Every night, the phone stayed by my pillow. Sometimes the clock's ticking fooled me into thinking it rang. Sometimes the rain tapping the roof jolted me up. I grabbed the phone, only to see the screen still black. Some nights, I dreamed it ringing. I picked up, heard his voice. "Dad, I need you." I cried in my sleep, held the phone tight to my chest, until I woke, and felt only the cold plastic in my hand. The tension built inside me. I ached from being shut out. I worried, knowing he was drowning in debt. I wanted to help. I wanted to let go. Every day, I tore myself apart. Is this my fault? Did I meddle too much? Or am I truly just a burden? I felt like a man locked outside a room. Inside, I could hear my son struggling. But I had no key. All I could do was stand there, listening, helpless. And I knew everything so far was only the beginning. The real storm was still on its way. That night, I had just come back from a long haul. The apartment was so quiet, I could hear the clock ticking. I dropped my bag, thought about making some coffee, then sleep. But as soon as I sat down, the phone lit up, buzzing, shaking, over and over. The name on the screen stopped my heart. Michael. I froze. For months, I'd lived with a dead screen, with silence. He'd blocked me, cut me off, treated me like a burden. And now he was calling. Once, twice, 3 times. The ring sounded urgent, like fists pounding from hell's door. My hand shook as I picked it up. My finger hovered over accept. Memories crashed in. The cold operator's voice. The cold turkey left untouched. The nights I dreamed the phone rang, only to wake to darkness. Every ring stabbed my chest. I wanted to answer. I wanted to ignore it. Why now? Why only when you're desperate do you remember me? I screamed inside. The phone wouldn't stop. Finally, I took a deep breath and pressed. Dad. Just one word. But his voice shook. Behind him, chaos. Horns blaring, people shouting. Dad, I'm in trouble. Please, help me. Sweat drenched my palm. Part of me wanted to shout. What am I to you? A tool? An ATM? You erase me when I'm inconvenient and call only when you're drowning? But all I heard was that he called me Dad. Where are you? I rasped. He gave me an address, voice breaking. Then the call cut out. I bolted out the door, climbed into the truck. The night road was empty. Streetlights streaked yellow across the glass. The engine roared, my chest pounded. Every feeling tangled inside me. Worry, anger, pity, and fear. I remembered all those nights driving him to the hospital. His sleepy voice on the phone. Dad, come home soon. And here I was again, racing through the night. But this time, he wasn't a sick child. He was a grown man, caught in his own mistakes. I pulled up. He was on the curb, face hollow under the streetlight. A few men stood around him, eyes hard. One stepped toward me. You his dad? He owes us. Pay up or else. My heart sank. The rumors were true. I looked at my son. His head dropped. His voice cracked. Dad, I messed up. I thought I could handle it. I thought I didn't need you, but now. His voice broke, trembling like a child's. I stood there, silent. All those months of being erased. All the nights I asked if I was just a burden. Now twisted into one bitter truth. The same son who deleted me was begging for me. I wanted to yell, to lash out. You only remember me when you need cash? But looking at him, shaking, eyes red, I couldn't. I stepped forward, stood between him and the men. Let him go. I'll take care of it. My voice was firm. They exchanged looks, muttered, then backed off. But one spat as they left. 3 days, or both of you pay. I helped him into the truck. He slumped, hands trembling. Dad, I'm sorry, he whispered. My chest tightened. Tears ran down his face. I'd waited so long to hear those words. But why now? Why here, in the middle of the night, drowning in debt, broken? The truck rolled forward. The engine hummed steady. But inside the cab, the silence suffocated us. I gripped the wheel. 100 times I wanted to shout, Do you know what you did to me? But when I looked at him, nothing came out. He sobbed. I just wanted to prove myself. To my wife, to everyone. I didn't want you to think I was weak. I didn't want you to be disappointed. I turned, looked at him. In my eyes, he was still the little boy chasing my truck, yelling, Dad, come home soon. But now he was a man cornered by his own pride. I felt tears slip down my face. I whispered, almost to myself, I never saw you as a burden. He looked up, eyes wet. And from me came the question I couldn't hold back. Then why did you push me away? He didn't answer. Only soft sobs, blending with the engine's low growl. That night, I drove him home. My heart a storm of feelings. I didn't know if I should feel relief or grief. Relief that he finally called me Dad. Grief that it took his collapse for him to do it. I knew one thing. From that moment on, nothing between us would ever be the same. That call changed everything. The next morning, the apartment was washed in pale dawn. The smell of coffee lingered, but it couldn't cut through the cold that settled into the corners. I sat at the kitchen table, 2 steaming cups in front of me, one for me, one for him. But he lay curled on the sofa, sleeping fitfully. He didn't touch his cup. Threw and turned all night, sweat soaking his shirt. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. 3 days. Pay up or don't blame us. I stared at the blue screen. My hand shook. 3 days. The amount was not small. It was almost everything I'd saved my whole life. Every dollar tucked away after long hauls. Every bill folded into that savings book with the dream of one day slowing down, planting a few tomatoes, living quiet. I looked at my son, his face hollow, eyes sunk. For months I'd yearned to hear his voice. Now he was in my apartment, but he wore the shape of a man sinking. When he woke, the room felt heavy as lead. I handed him a glass of water. His hands trembled taking it. "How much do you owe?" I asked. He looked down, mumbled the number. My chest closed. Exactly what I feared. Enough to drown a family. "Where did you get the loan? Why borrow?" My voice sharp. He was silent for a long moment, then choked out. "I wanted the house. My wife said it was the chance. I wanted to prove I could handle it. I was afraid you'd think I was weak. I was afraid you'd be disappointed." I froze. So he hadn't blocked me out of hatred. He'd been afraid to face me. He thought pushing me away would protect his pride. And now all that weight fell on me. "Did you think shutting me out would protect me?" I asked, voice tight. He looked up, eyes wet. I was wrong. That afternoon, I went to the bank. I brought the savings book. Pages worn at the corners. Every number in there was sweat, sleepless nights, the times I skipped meals to save. The teller asked, "You want to withdraw everything? Are you sure?" I looked at the balance, the last of what I'd built. Memories pressed in. Buying his first sneakers, paycheck trembling in my hand, him grinning and running circles in the store. Now I trembled for a different reason. I was about to hand over my life's little nest to pay his debts. I almost walked away. Then his voice from last night came back to me. "Dad, help me." My eyes burned. I nodded. Take it all out." The teller gave me a pitying look. My signature shook. When the stack of bills was in my hands, my heart felt heavy, as if I'd put my whole life on the counter. Back home, he stared. "Dad, you don't have to. This is my fault." I set the money on the table, voice low. "If you're the mistake, then I failed you. I taught you to lean on me instead of teaching you to stand after you fall." He broke down, dropped to his knees, clutching my hand. "I'm sorry. I swear I'll pay you back. I swear." I leaned down and held him. It had been a long time since I held him like that. The hug was warm and it hurt. 3 days later, we went to the lenders. A quiet street, a dark house, smoke thick inside. I laid the cash on the table. Their eyes lit up. A man counted, then sneered. "All cleared. But remember, not everyone has a dad like you." That line cut deep. I pulled my son out, didn't look back. On the ride home, we were both quiet. Wind howled outside. Inside the truck, only the steady engine. I watched his thin, shaking hands. I wanted to say something, but the words wouldn't come. That night he slept hard, exhausted. I sat alone at the kitchen table. The savings book now empty. I turned each page and remembered. The first haul, the first dollar, the first month I gave up drinking to save more for him. It was all blank now. I'd just saved my son. And buried my last dream. A small house of my own, a little garden, mornings without the rumble of an engine. I looked at him sleeping. Tears ran down my face. I don't know if what I did was right, or if I only enabled a bigger mistake. All I know is this: I'm still his father. And being a father sometimes means choosing the hardest kind of love. Those days, my apartment fell back into its usual silence. My son stayed a few nights, then went back to his place. Before he left, he hugged me hard. I felt his shoulders shake. He whispered, "Dad, I'll change. I promise." I nodded. Inside, I knew promises like that can be smoke. I wasn't sure he'd keep it, but I wanted to believe. Because if I didn't, I'd have nothing to hold on to. His jacket still hung on the sofa, smelled of smoke and sweat. I didn't put it away. I left it there, like proof that he'd come home, even if only for a moment. My savings book sat empty. The dream of a little house on the outskirts, a quiet garden, was gone. Still, I didn't regret it. Maybe that's what being a father means. Even if you trade away your whole life, you'll make a path for your child. Many nights I still woke to a phone ringing in my sleep. I'd grab it, the screen black. Once, though, the ring was real. Once, he said my name again, after months of nothing. That memory makes me smile now. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe he'll change. Maybe he'll fall again. Maybe one day he'll understand that parents aren't things to be pushed aside, nor are they a safety net for every mistake. They're people who walk with you through the turns. One thing I'm sure of, being a father leaves no way back. Even if pushed away, even if your number is blocked, one call and I will come. And perhaps for the rest of my days, I'll sit here with this old phone, waiting for it to ring, not with the desperate ache I once knew, but with a quiet peace. Because sometimes, just hearing Dad is enough to make a life feel worth it. If you still have a father, don't let silence kill the bond. And if you still have a child, don't let pride become the wall between you. A single call may not change the world, but it can save a heart.